So in this video we are going to show you how you can model a triangulated mesh representation based on an image. And how you will do that is by really modeling it with mesh faces, as you can see here. Let's get started. So we have the picture that we are using to give us a rough estimation of what we want to model, or not a rough but a very precise, as you can see here, as shown in the previous video or in a video about how to import an image and how to scale it. We use this frame here to really scale the stone in the right dimensions, and we have a layer called picture, and now we want to model over it on a different layer. So we go to this model, and we really want to look into how we can model this, and this might be not the most usual way to model in Rhino, but we want to model it as a mesh, with faces, and we will go for triangles because we already have in mind that we want to fabricate that in a very specific way from a flat sheet material. So what you want to do in order to create the mesh faces is you want to go and you see here, these are all the mesh tools. You might also find mesh tools over here, so Rhino offers plenty of ways how to find various commands. So for instance, there's the 3D face command, and if you drop that, you will see that it will create a triangle basically. And keep in mind, we don't want to remodel this here as precise as possible. We want to create an abstraction of that. So you see, this is a very this is just a triangle. You can model things that have more corners, but I wouldn't really recommend it. Or in our case, as we have the fabrication in mind, a triangle has the advantage, if it's a mesh triangle, that it will always be planar, so there will be no bending in there. Let me see if I can also find it over here where you create the mesh. Mesh face. Actually, I cannot find it so fast now. So easiest way is to go here or just type 3D face. And now what you want to do is you want to go along this stone and basically try to model or trace this stone. And you will see there will be a few problems later that we have to address. But what you can do in general is you can try to try already now to think of triangles everywhere. So you place point by point, then you press the spacebar to finish the command, and you have to start seeing your stone now in terms of triangles. And don't worry, like you can later on, you can always, you see for instance here, that's something we want to avoid. And this might not be the best point here because there are a lot of triangles going into this one point. But that's something that you just have to get an intuition about as well, when you create meshes. So in a way, we are triangulating this stone right now. Maybe we can find a brighter color somehow. I don't know if that's...3D face. And here you see the image that I choose could have been a bit brighter as well. So I guess that's round about it. Maybe we can add one more triangle over here. Yeah, that's it for now. Let's see. So here you see your triangulation of this particular stone here. And once you go into perspective, you might notice that, yeah, well, it's still a flat piece here somehow, yeah. You know, I don't like this grid. So what we want to do now is we want to shift or move the points of this mesh here upwards. So, and one thing we have to do before is because if you now, let's say you select all of these and you turn on the control points, which give you access to, yeah, really manipulate things, you see already when you select, there are all these mesh points here on one point. So if I just select one and move it up, it will create a gap somehow. So in order to avoid it, we have to join all of them. And then you see that still, if we turn on the points, there are all these mesh points and we still have the same issue here. So what you want to do in this case is you want to select your mesh and then go over here and go to the mesh edit tool and weld selected vertices. So that will, yeah, kind of join all of the vertices. And if you press enter and now you turn on the control points over here, or just type control, you know what, press F10 for instance. There are the control points and you can lift them. Now obviously it would be very helpful to have a second image and you see this little arrow here. So what's happening is that the triangles, you have to, meshes are defined by their, mesh faces defined by their vertices, which then create these edges, and from these edges it creates a surface. But what is not so clear is the faces also have like two sides, kind of, yeah, they have a normal. So if we go over here and we analyze this mesh direction, and now you see that there are these arrows. Maybe let me turn back this on. Maybe that shows it a bit better. So you see these white arrows here, and you see they are not all pointing to the same side of the mesh. Here we have one that points here, here one that almost points downwards, and then most of them turn upwards. So that creates some problems. So because the direction of the faces is not unified. In order to change that, let's go back here. We can go to mesh and yeah, mesh repair tools and unify the normals. So you see already the shading was changing. And if we now go again on yeah, show object direction, you see that all arrows are pointing upwards. You could flip that, doesn't make too much of a difference for what we're doing now, but I would keep them in, from our kind of perspective, outwards. Okay. And now you have to basically, yeah, model your stone and take the points and move parts upwards. And before we continue, this is a weird edge here somehow, I just realized. What happens if we, let's delete it for now, we don't. As I said, it's an abstraction that should try to reflect it as good as possible. Here you might notice that this is a quite flat part, but anyway, we want to close it now, because if you see again, if we turn off the image, here we can look from below. And the easiest way would be just, so you don't have to redraw all of that, I would just go into the front view and kind of mirror this part here. And then again, if you go into perspective and you join them and you turn on the control points, you will have the same problem as previously. So again, we go here, we go to mesh and mesh edit tools, weld vertices, and here we are. Yeah, this one here we also want to delete for now. At this point it didn't work now, so we have to again weld vertices, and now it should be okay. Yeah, now it's 1 point. Okay, now we have a closed mesh. Yeah, if you select that, it's a mesh edit. It doesn't say open mesh anymore, and you see that this is probably not how your stone looks like. And now you would really have to go and check your images. So in the best case, you also have an image for the height. So now you want to go ahead and really shape the stone to your best of your knowledge. And you might notice like thinking, oh man, I need another edge, or I need a new triangle over here because I cannot really get the shape that I wanted. And so what you would have to do is you go here over to mesh, and then first thing is there's something called split a mesh edge, and that allows you to, for instance, say you need more information here to model, you go and click here, you see you can add several, and then you can select the point. And again, this is a problem, so probably it's better to go first along and add triangles wherever needed, because we because you see that in a way we have again the same problem. So wherever I added something now, it created several points here for each mesh face. So unfortunately, again, you have to go and mesh weld vertices and then connect all of them. And once you did that, you can move the points around. And you will see that now this is a quite labor intense process. You have to move quite a few points, but I don't want you to go too crazy about it. Just try to yeah, kind of reflect things as good as possible. And then you have to do the same, obviously, for the bottom side, which, and again, you see here, it seems like we again have the same problem with the mesh normals. So again, Unify normals. I didn't repair it in this case. I don't know what's going on here. Let's ignore it for now. And then you might say, well, here it's way too many triangles somehow, or it's getting too complicated. So there's also a way you can delete. So if you would just go and, for instance, delete a point, let's say you want to delete this point, this will create an open hole here, which is something we want to avoid. So instead, you want to go and you can delete mesh faces, but then there's also merge two faces. If you go for that and you say like, well, I want to get, for instance, rid of this part here. Now you see it's not a triangle anymore. So we can create this. You might also want to delete this one. Now you see they are not planar anymore. You see they have here some problems. You might be able to solve that again by later on triangulate mesh, which will add, yeah, will re-add this part here. So it's good to know already kind of what you are about to model from the very beginning. But that's basically the way to go about mesh modeling, which is, yeah, modeling with these triangles in Rhino. Yeah, you see where it was adding here this face. And probably this is also a weird spot. Okay, so I hope that gives you an idea about how to model a stone like this. Let's maybe hide this. How you could go about to, yeah, create a triangulated mesh representation of something like a stone in this case. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you should have any questions or comments, please get in touch with me or leave it in the comments. Thank you very much.